Welcome to another fun edition of the For the Love of Creatives podcast. You've got your connections and community guy hosts, Dwight and Maddox. And today we are joined by the fabulous Lizzie Thomas. Welcome to the podcast, Lizzie.
Hello. Thank you, Dwight. Thank you, Maddox. Happy to be here today.
If
We're
you
glad
would,
to have
Lizzie.
you.
Yes, absolutely. Lizzie, could you share with the For the Love of Creatives audience a little bit about who you are and what you're about?
Absolutely. I would love to. I am Lizzie Thomas. I am a jazz singer, songwriter, producer, musician. I am from the South of America, like the good old brought up in the South, and really wanted to move to the big city and the jazz capital of the world. So I moved to New York City. I've lived in New York City, Manhattan, about 20 years and have just submerged myself into the jazz community and the community that exists there. I am a internationally touring musician. I have 9 albums, seven of them in the classic American songbook. I have worked with incredible musicians like the late Russell Malone, guitarist, Ron Carter, bassist, Shedrick Mitchell, pianist, organist. It's my great delight to share music with the world. And I think what's really the most interesting kind of pivot turn in my career has been I have gone through a personal awakening within the last, I think, 3 to 4 years now, and how that has influenced my music and my approach to my music has been pretty profound. I have released an album called Awakening last year. And the way I received those songs was through dreams, through meditation. I hear lyrics, I hear melodies. And as a pianist, that's my first instrument. I go to the piano and I work through and I have these conversations with songs. And there's this objectivity that has given me such freedom and ability to express myself through the music. Takes me to my next album, This is Freedom, which is again an extension, a deeper reflection on what is it like to live a life when you decide that you're going to start making your own rules, that you are going to start to dream big and dare to believe the things that you hear, that quiet voice that says, can I do that? Should I do that? Oh gosh, I don't know if I want to do that. That's pretty scary. So my music is a reflection of I would say, spiritual walk that I have been on. And of course, I still love the standards. I still go back to my Cole Porter, my George Gershwin, my Miles Davis, John Coltrane. But at the same time, I infuse my original songwriting and my ability to heal through the frequency of music. That's in a nutshell of who
That
I
is
am and what motivates me.
That's incredible. And oh my goodness. I I know it's hard to just capture everything in just a neat little soundbite, but I feel like we're just getting the tip of the iceberg. And you're unearthing some great things to come. I mean, beyond the accomplished recording career, like 9 albums, that's a lifetime of music in itself.
Yeah, it's blood, sweat, and tears.
Yes, Lizzie, I'm curious. How has your music, the things you've written and produced, how has it been received?
Well, really beautifully from those who have heard it. I think the biggest challenge of an independent artist is really having your music heard. I was with a label, I left, I started my own label called Goddess Legacy Records. It's very specific to empowering female artists and female producers. So, to really answer your question, people love the music. They can dig as deep into it as they want. The lyrics are very engaging, compelling. You can just listen to great music or you can really dig deeper and go, whoa, these themes, where is she going with this? I have a lyric book as well that I've produced, so it's an investigation that I could talk hours and hours and hours about, but I know that that's not what we're going to do today. So
So it's thought-provoking is what I'm hearing.
yes, yes.
That's
The
beautiful.
original, yeah, the original music is thought-provoking, and it's also always asking, who are you?
Mm,
Are you living the life that you want? Are you living the life that you are here to live? If you don't want to go there, you can just listen to the music because the music is infused with frequencies of healing. Because every one of these songs have been a process of healing for me to actually write them. Some of them come easily, some of them, I have one song that took me over a year to write. And it was a process of me understanding that no one was coming to save me.
mm.
And guess who gets to save me?
You
I,
do.
Good for
I
you.
do.
You know, you're
So,
going after a pretty specific niche, especially for the people that want more than just lyric. I mean, more than music. That thought-provoking thing. I mean, that is there is a literally a genre of people out there that I believe that will seek that out. They want to have that thought-provoking aspect of something in their life. We recently discovered a playhouse that a lot of their plays that they produce are very intentionally set to really be thought-provoking for the audience. And I believe that's definitely a very specific niche. How do you go about like reaching that niche?
do you have any
Niche, whichever
suggestions?
pronunciation.
Help! I'm raising the flag. Do you have any suggestions? I don't know, Maddox. It's a lot of that's one of the reasons why I'm talking to you guys today. One of the
You know,
reasons why
the
I'm here.
the first thing that comes to my mind is you have to educate that niche. You have to you have to educate the people about your music and say, they need to hear from you. We talk about this a lot with creatives because we're so quick to put our art or our dance or whatever, our music out there, and sometimes we forget to put ourselves out there, which is what people are really hungry for. They want the person behind the music or behind the art or and it's the creatives community hasn't quite embraced that yet. I mean, what comes to my mind is you just simply producing short videos where you speak, a talking head video where you speak with your audience on the varying different social media channels, telling them that your music you write your music for it to be thought provoking,
Mhm.
to make them go deep, to have them perhaps after listening to one of your songs know themselves just a little bit better than they did before they listened.
It's powerful, right?
Yes. Yes, but it is tricky reaching those people. But I think right now more than ever, I mean, I have a love-hate relationship with social media, but
Don't we
we
all?
have a means of reaching people across the entire globe that we never have had until now.
Yeah, very true, Maddox. Very
Well,
true. And yes, you are clarifying, confirming, mirroring back the very thing that I am doing, trying to do. As an artist, one thing that is a real hard question to self is how public do I make my personal life as an artist? I'm a very private person, yet I mentioned before, I have an objective relationship with these songs because even though they're coming through my hand, through my being, there's a level of um, third person objectivity that I have about them. And because of that, that for the first time as an artist has given me the ability to speak about them as if they're these entities that exist that aren't just about me. I hope I'm being clear enough in my explanation, because with that being said, I can speak to certain songs and the journey and the motivation and my experience, but when you hear it, you might have a totally different experience. And I think as an artist, we have to allow the art to do as it wishes. The
Yes.
creativity channel to infuse itself and move through the listener, the one experiencing the art. So there's this perfect balance of me stepping out of the way, yet doing exactly what you just said. Me also communicating my experience with the art. Because my experience with the art might help you experience the art in a different way.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know, the same is true of physical art. Abstract painting, people see things in your painting that you didn't put in there.
Mhm.
And it
Right.
and
Well,
and it's their interpretation, and that's the beautiful part of it. Every person gets to have their own interpretation of each one of your songs.
right. Yeah. And I imagine each performance is a kind of meditation. It's a way that you get to revisit it and to have the audience to have their own unique experience in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, you bring up an interesting point as a performing artist. When I step on stage, I have to remember sometimes it's the first, second, third time that someone's heard a song. And the level of preparation and the level of intimacy that I have with the songs is probably out like hours and hours and hours. And part of that is really delightful, and also part of that is like I have to again step back and remember this is the first time that someone might be hearing this song ever. This is probably the 100th or more time I've ever sung this song. So um, you're right that people perceive the art and experience the art through their lens. And also, I can relate to when, when you hear like really successful artists say, I've sung that song 8,000 times. And I'm so done doing it, but like we still want to hear it.
You know, I think, Lizzie, that awareness that you just spoke about, your awareness that you have your experience of it, but that they have their own interpretation, that's going to work in your favor in a really, really big way.
Mm.
Yeah. And I feel like we are probably teasing a large section of our audience who aren't yet into your world. Because I mean, the beautiful thing about planting your little stake in history and going on these podcasts is, it's another point where people are able to see that you've planted your flag. They see your name, Lizzie Thomas, and they can plug it into their podcast player, Spotify, Apple, what have you, and you've got a catalog,
Yeah.
and they get to go on a journey. And having had that experience, I was blown away because I was I was struck by a certain maturity and elegance because of you've chosen to honor an art that is in a lot of ways uniquely American. And it's not one of those things where you're just doing a cute lip service kind of thing to it. You embody it, and oh my goodness, does it come through.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That means a lot to hear.
So you spoke about the awakening. I
Hmm.
want to go back and start there because I think that what you're tipping on is one of our pillars, which is becoming. And my question is, hmm, as you began to have the awakening
Mhm.
and these things began to come to you in dreams and in meditation, it was lyrics, it was music that you could hear, the keys being played on a piano, perhaps,
Mhm.
that called you to step into a totally different level of who you are. You were being called to become a different version of yourself, more of yourself, perhaps. Let's hear a little bit about that, how you experienced that, what it looked like, smelled like, tasted like, and just how it impacted you.
Yeah. There's a lot there, Maddox, and I will say yes. I am more of myself. I am a more authentic version of Lizzie today than I ever have been, even than I was yesterday. Yet, I will say this. We'll call it becoming, we'll call it ascension, we'll call it recognition of self. Um, I will say that there is a problem to ascension. And the problem that one has, that I specifically had, was I began realizing that what was happening internally was not being reflected externally. And I had to begin to look at all the relationships, all of my circumstances, all the choices that I had made that had led me to that place, and realize that a lot of them did not have integrity of relationship with this newfound becoming and awakening that I was having within myself.
Are you saying they no longer served you?
Yes, they no longer served me. They no longer, I remember really having a conversation with the word integrity. And my understanding with integrity was one has integrity when internally, the internal world is reflected in the external world. A lot of people say as below, as above, as above, as below. There's a lot of different ways to say it. But I realized that I had conflict and I had to deal with it. And that was my responsibility. And what I mean by the conflict was a lot of my external world did not um, represent this authentic version of myself. I was a people pleaser. I was a self-abandoning wife. I was, um, there were a lot of things that I was not coming to relationship with in my external world that was reflecting my true, authentic person. Does that make sense? I mean, I know I'm being
Oh, it
clear, but
makes
am I
Yeah.
hitting on something here?
it
Oh,
makes
yeah.
perfect sense. You know, what's coming up for me right now in my experience, and I want to know your take on this. I believe that there is a natural lag that happens when you go through an awakening or you embark on becoming more of who you really are. You make those changes internally, and for a period of time, no, the external world does not align. And you go through this, kind of a WTF moment where you're wondering what's wrong here. But I think that it's just like anything else, when we no longer needed to shred raw meat off the bone, we lost our jagged teeth, that we evolve. And there's a part of that that I think happens here that it takes a little while for the external world to catch up with all the changes you've made internally because it's waiting on you to take action on those internal shifts. And when you start to take action and based on what you're telling me, that meant you had to cut some people loose, cut some situations, cut some ways of doing things, some limiting beliefs, perhaps.
Not perhaps, absolutely. I feel like I set fire to my entire life, which was me uncovering all of these limiting beliefs. And when I say limiting beliefs, what I'm speaking to are beliefs that I was taught
Hmm.
through culture, through ancestry, history, through religion, through
Hmm.
this is just the way, through, all the different things that I was taught. I started looking at it and going, do I believe that? And I just started writing down all the beliefs. And I became a curious explorer of my life. Do I believe that? I don't know. Let's put that one on the shelf. I'm not sure if I believe that. Do
This
I
is
believe
so
that?
rich. What you're describing now is so rich, and I hope the listeners are really tuning in because what you're telling me you did with writing down all of those beliefs to look at, well, is that true? Do I believe that? Is brilliant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the most essential me search.
Oh, I like that. Me search. Yes.
Instead of research. That's cute, Dwight. I like that. It's the first time I've heard him say that.
So I went through this process, and I'll tell you guys, the process is long because once you uncover one belief that you don't believe, what happens? Another one pops up.
It's a domino effect.
Absolutely. And then pretty soon you're left with, oh my gosh, I don't know what I believe. And then you start, what do? You tune in to yourself again. Then you begin to restructure, build. And that is my word right now. I am building. I am believing. And I love to say I'm daring to believe. I'm daring to believe that I am all these things that I believe that I am, and that I believe spirit, universe, God, goddess says that I am. Because the reality is, I still don't see it. You were talking about lag time.
Hmm.
I still don't see all those things in my external world that I am living in today. Funny story. I just completely changed my life. And I think I want to bring it up because you can. We are taught from early on, you do this and the ladder, you know? You're climbing the ladder and you get to the top at some point. I don't know what happens. Do you fly away or do you just like, look at my kingdom on top of my ladder? I don't know. Well, I just burned the ladder basically. I just set a torch to it and I was like, I'm not doing the ladder thing. I believe that in any stage of our life, we can just totally restart. We can do over. Like, why not? So, I am living in a home that, as a woman, is a very powerful moment for me in the middle of my life to buy a home all by myself, no cosigner, no masculine energy to support me in it. Um, and there's nothing in my house. There's 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 no furniture.
Can I, you said something. May I
Yeah,
have permission to
please.
give you perhaps a different perspective?
I'd love it.
When,
Yes.
when you said no masculine energy to support me, and I get exactly where
Mm,
you're coming from because we do definitely think of masculinity as being men and femininity as being women. But the truth is, you have both masculine and feminine energy within who you are, in your being. I wish that we had been smart enough to name those energies differently. The whole thing would be different if we hadn't named them after a gender. That was a stupid move on our part. Bad move.
totally right. And I completely agree with you. Continue.
You have whatever masculine energy that you need
Hmm.
inside of you.
Hmm.
It was a big moment for when I realized that I had only been honoring one of the energies and hadn't been honoring the other one. And when I began to honor both of them, there was this integration that happened. And when the integration happened, suddenly my central nervous system just went peaceful. Something that had been fighting, and this just happened maybe 5 years ago. Um, I had been fighting internally my whole life, masculine, feminine, masculine, feminine. They'd been fighting with each other. And one day I just sat down and decided to really figure it out.
Yeah.
And I wrote. And when I got finished, read what I wrote. It was like I was channeling. And it was all about just this honoring of both, realizing that you have both, that those energies don't have anything to do with gender. Nothing. Those energies are in all of us. And when we can make peace with them, when we can, as a planet, as humanity, when we can individually make peace with those two energies inside of us, wars will stop. We, we will have we will have peace planet wide,
Hmm.
not only internally for individually, but we'll have it externally as well. But you have everything you need inside of you.
I know, isn't it so exciting? Why
Hmm.
are we not taught that? We are taught to look outside of us for everything that we need.
Well, we're taught
I,
to have we're taught that we have needs that, if no one had ever polluted us to think that we needed to ascend the ladder and drive the fancy new car and get the big house and all those things, then there would be a lot of people that would be sorely disadvantaged because that's their dream. And in order for them to achieve what they want, we need to think that we need to pursue it too.
yeah,
Yeah, the American dream is a joke. It's a fluke.
totally. It's just
It's
keeping
like we
us in
just pass it
cages.
out at certain age. When you reach a certain age, and your family, your people around you, give you the American dream,
Yes.
and it fucks us up in a way
Yeah.
that's just like, wow.
It's the great lie. The
Yes.
great lie that keeps us in cages, that keeps us enslaved. And I'm so glad that I said what I said the way I did, Maddox, for you to speak to the feminine and masculine energy
Yeah.
because it's so important and it inhabits us. And we must have the balance of the two. So I'm gonna ask for the ability to edit what I said.
You exhibit both. You do know that, right?
I do,
I mean, outwardly, I can see it. Visually, you're exceptionally feminine. For those that are not seeing video here and having the audio, she's dressed to the teeth. Her makeup is flawless. Her hair is beautiful. The jewelry, the whole,
Yes.
and the
Thank
house behind you. There's this bright painting
Perfection.
behind you. There's a hot pink wall and a blue sofa. It's like, oh my God, can I come live with you? It's just fabulous. But
thank you.
there's a lot of feminine energy visually, but also just you can just feel the energy. But then on the other hand, you're a tiger by the tail.
Yeah.
Doesn't take but 2 minutes to figure that out, if even that long.
Yes. It's interesting, Maddox. I've worked a lot on embodying my feminine energy because as a woman brought up in and also in jazz as a musician, I'm surrounded by men always. I am in a male-dominated genre field of music. And so, as a teacher, as a entrepreneur, I've learned that I have to speak very clearly, have to say what I mean what I say, not be afraid to speak, and be very not domineering, because I don't think I'm domineering. I just think I'm very clear at my
Very direct.
Assertive. You're
and I'm
assertive.
assertive, and I've
Yes.
had to be. So I appreciate I appreciate you and your assessment. Thank you. So my edit is I did not have a male escort, a male beside me to a male representative to buy my home, and that was a big deal. And that was something that throughout especially being brought up in the South. I mean, I was a debutante. I was in pageants. I was always brought up beside a male. And I want to say beside because I want to focus on that, but most of the time the male's in front in that society, and it is true.
It
And they
is.
make us think that, oh, well, he's helping us embody our feminine energy. Well, it's bullshit. So,
I agree. I'm totally against the patriarch. I think
yeah.
it is what it is the biggest thing that keeps us from having what we would all really love and enjoy.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's bad. It's just bad. There's no two ways about it.
Agreed. Agreed. And
It's even bad for men, you know?
yeah.
The patriarchy, if you really do the math and look at the statistics, it's killing us. Living
Yes,
up to that thing that we're taught, it's killing us.
I completely agree.
So
So
if you
what
had
do
to
we
sum
do?
up, go ahead.
I'm like, so what do we do? We just keep living our authentic lives, right? I keep making music. I keep communicating this message. I keep sharing the wisdom that I have. What do you think we do, Maddox? What do you think
Well,
we do?
I think, you're empowering women. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah.
Dwight, you take a stab.
Yeah, I think that as long as you continue to be true to yourself, as long as you continue to produce the beautiful music that you do, to speak out in the way that you do, it's sending up a beacon for others who might not even know that this is a possible way of being. I think that just like when you bang a tuning fork and there's another one that resonates at the same frequency that knows that it has permission to sing, you're lighting that path. And the best that we can hope for is that as you continue to show what it is to live out your genuine way of being, it's gonna give others permission.
Bingo. Well said, Dwight.
Well said.
Very well said. You know, my hope is that sooner or later the patriarch will just die off. That we're slowly the younger generations are not sucked into that as much as they used to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Agree.
unfortunately, it's too easy to trade in greed and fear, and that's what perpetuates it.
Yes. And I think eventually what will happen is we, as awakened people who desire more, who see the truth of the puritanical patriarchy, will continue to rise and realize that we have no use for it. And eventually it will have no use and it
It,
will crumble. I have a song
Mhm.
called Kingdoms Fall, and it speaks to this. It speaks to the crumbling patriarchy, but it doesn't speak to the patriarchy. It speaks to when we become authentically ourselves, it just becomes obsolete. It's not something we even care about anymore. Like we disregard it. And in it not being important, it's where it begins to fall and lose its power.
I love that. Love that.
Yeah.
So I think we've done a really good job of covering the whole becoming thing. I think your story is like all about becoming. But let's touch a little bit on community and how that's played a role in all of the things that you've achieved, the awakening. How did community play a role in that?
Hmm. Well, I can't help but say I wrote a song, and the title is Community, and that was the first song I ever heard from Spirit. And the lyrics are community, you and me. Don't forget that we are free. I believe we'll come together in time. And it is a song that speaks to, and there's a beautiful music video set in Manhattan, and it speaks to um, we all are different. We all look different. We come from different backgrounds. I celebrate difference. I'm a xenophile. And I think that in celebrating difference, we actually honor it. And that's what this song, Community, is about. So, big believer in the fact that we can't do this on our own. My band, they're very important to me. My female friends are very important to me. I have had to learn as a very independent woman who is an Aries sun. I usually get shit done faster than anybody else in my world. But you know what? I'm alone. I get it done faster, but I'm alone. Is that serving me? Sometimes not. I mean, I got the task, I can check it off, but I'm alone. And the value of community is incredibly important, not only as a person, but as a musician. I can sit behind the piano and play my songs and sing, but how much more powerful it is when I have my band with me and we're all passionately, emotionally expressing our love of the music. I mean, that's powerful. That's where things are really accomplished.
That's beautiful.
Indeed.
Speak a little bit more about in that awareness that I can get shit done really fast by myself, but is that really serving me? How have things shifted in that awareness?
Well, that awareness came a couple of years ago. Um, and I am not a patient person, but I think I've actually become a pretty fairly patient person over the last several years. And it's also made me become more of a clear communicator that speaks to deadlines, that speaks to this is what we, as an entrepreneur, a musical entrepreneur, I have my own record label, I'm my own artist, I have a team of people that's very, very small, but it's helped me realize that I'm better when I have people around me because I'm not the expert in everything. I mean, that's ridiculous. Um, so I'm better when I have people around me because I have to understand what it is that I need, what I want, who I am, and how I communicate getting the job done. That's business. On a personal level, I'm an empath. And so I love being around people and I enjoy the stories and enjoy the experience of sharing life. So that's really it for me. I'm in it, but if you're in it by yourself, then I don't know, what's really the point?
I
Yeah, it
agree.
seems like a great callback to how you got off the ladder.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's this, I don't know if this happens for everybody, but there was a point in my life, and I can't pinpoint exactly when it was, but it's been a few years ago, when I realized that aside from oxygen, water, and food, one of my greatest resources are my relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, literally right up there in that spot number four after those three, you know, life-sustaining necessities.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I would argue that I reached a point. Unfortunately, grief caused me to mature in ways that I never could have imagined, and I realized that the relationships are the point.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to say grief is my friend because I too have had a long, long relationship with grief and it makes us, it chisels us, it softens us, it defines us, it refines us. So I'm not afraid when I have a friend that's in need or when I have a friend that's grieving. I find it very comfortable to be there with them and know that I don't have to do anything, but just be present with them. And That's all that's required.
You know, we tend to think of grief as like a really bad loss. Somebody died or somebody pulled the plug and walked away or but I had a huge awareness. It's been now a couple of years ago that grief happens to us in small ways all day, every day. You know, you go to your favorite restaurant and sit down and you can't wait to order your favorite item on the menu, and the chef comes and, or the wait person comes and says, "I'm sorry, we're out of that today." And in
Mhm.
that moment, you literally experience it is a form of grief. It's not like somebody just died. Well, for some of us it is, but but we do anytime we get disappointed,
Yeah.
whether it's somebody has disappointed or something has disappointed, something didn't go the way we really wanted it to go, we experience some form of grief.
Yeah.
It's all around us.
Yeah. It is. I think that that's been my lesson in being present, not being afraid to experience all the emotions that move through me all day long. And as an emotional, and I say emotional with love because we've also thought of emotional as bad or toxic but as an emotionally evolved person, um, it, it's one, a challenge to navigate through that. But once you learn how to do it, it becomes a really rich, present life. And being able to be there for the relationships in my life. I will say, um, I experience all emotions pretty frequently throughout a day.
I
Uh,
can raise my hand there. I'm, and
Yeah.
Dwight too, we're both deeply feeling human beings and we're not afraid of our feelings. So we're pretty good about feeling them, pretty good about expressing them.
you're better than I am. Yeah, you can read mine before I can read my own, and that's okay.
I'm an empath too.
Yeah. I like that term, deeply feeling. I'm going to use that instead of emotional, deeply feeling. I like that.
Yeah, it does. It has a little different context to it than emotional.
Yep.
Yes, I'm a very emotional man, but what's underneath that, what creates that
Yeah.
emotion is my ability to deeply feel.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
Well, this has been an amazing and far-ranging conversation, and we've covered a lot of amazing topics. Is there anything that you would like to share with our listeners?
I would be amiss to not give them the way to get in touch with me. And that is Lizzie, Lizzie, thejazzsinger.com. All my socials, Lizzie the Jazz Singer. My name is Lizzie Thomas, but sometimes it's easier to remember, oh, wait a minute, Lizzie the Jazz Singer. Because I want to hear, I love getting random emails and DMs in my Instagram. I'm still that person that looks at it and I respond and connect. So,
Well, just so the listeners know, that web address will be in the show notes. On our website, when you visit the episode will be a detailed profile on Lizzie with a photo and a bio and all of her socials, everything you want to know except for her personal contact information. But you can go to her socials and certainly contact her through there. And she's just invited you to do that. So, what a beautiful thing.
And don't sleep on the chance to hear something really magical. If you go and seek her out on Spotify or your music service of choice, you won't be disappointed because there's so much that is just product that's out there. Listen to something with some soul.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, you guys.
Lizzie,
Really
this has been
enjoyed.
delightful.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Maddox. Thank you, Dwight.